Welcome back to my channel. This channel specializes in writing about epic tales and myths from around the world. Today, we continue with a story from the 1001 Nights series titled Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Full 1001 Nights story, The Legend of the Genie. Here is the detailed content. Chapter 1, The Street of Forgotten Dreams. In the heart of old Baghdad, where the scent of cardamom and rosewater drifted through the air, there was a narrow street so ancient that even the wind seemed to whisper forgotten prayers when it passed through. It was called the Street of Forgotten Dreams, a place where lost merchants, beggars, and storytellers gathered to barter not gold, but hopes. Among its labyrinth of alleys lived a boy named Aladdin, quick of wit, poor of coin, and rich only in imagination. His mother, once the daughter of a silk merchant, now mended clothes for the wealthy in exchange for bread. Their home was small, carved from clay and shadow, but Aladdin dreamed beyond its walls of palaces that touched the sky, of adventures across the desert, of stars that whispered his name. Each morning, he ran errands through the crowded bazaar, where snake charmers played their flutes, spice vendors shouted their wares, and carpets shimmered with impossible colors. Yet beneath his laughter and mischief, there was a longing, an ache for something greater. Dreams, his mother would sigh, cannot fill an empty stomach. Perhaps Aladdin would reply, eyes alight, but they can open doors no key can find. That door was about to open. One afternoon, as the market shimmered under the sun, a stranger appeared, tall, cloaked in indigo robes that shimmered like the twilight. His eyes were dark as the desert night, yet glimmered with the reflection of faraway stars. He watched Aladdin for a long while before approaching, his movements smooth, almost serpentine. You are the son of Mustafa, the tailor, are you not? He was my father, Aladdin said cautiously. He passed when I was small. Ah, murmured the stranger, a strange smile flickering on his lips. I knew him well, a good man. And you, boy, do you wish to honor his name? Aladdin frowned, confused but curious. The man's voice had the weight of destiny. How? By retrieving something that belongs to both our bloodlines, the stranger said softly. A treasure hidden beneath the earth, sealed by time and forgotten by men. He reached into his robe and withdrew a ring, simple, silver, but etched with ancient markings that glowed faintly in the sunlight. Take this and meet me at dawn beyond the city gates. Together, we shall find what was lost. Before Aladdin could ask more, the man vanished into the crowd like a shadow swallowed by daylight. That night, Aladdin lay awake, the ring clutched tightly in his hand. Dreams danced behind his eyelids, caverns filled with gold, lamps burning with eternal flame, and whispers calling his name from beneath the sands. He awoke before dawn, drawn by a feeling he could not name. Outside the city walls, the stranger awaited him beside a caravan of camels. The desert stretched before them, vast, endless, shimmering like liquid fire. Beyond those dunes, the stranger said, lies a cave that holds your destiny. As they walked, the wind rose, carrying the scent of myrrh and mystery. The stranger spoke little, but Aladdin felt the pull of something ancient, something that made his heart tremble with both fear and wonder. Hours passed, the sun blazed overhead, and Aladdin's feet sank into burning sand. But then, as the horizon shimmered, he saw it, a ring of black stone, rising from the dunes like the bones of an ancient beast. At its center lay a great slab of granite, etched with forgotten runes. Here, the stranger said, is where your courage must speak." He placed his hands upon Aladdin's shoulders, his gaze burning with a strange intensity. "Say these words, 'Open, O hidden one, reveal the path beneath the sun.'" Aladdin hesitated, but something deep within urged him on. His voice rang out across the desert, and the ground trembled. Sand cascaded away as the stone cracked open, revealing a stairway spiraling down into darkness. A breath of ancient air escaped, cool and heavy with the scent of forgotten ages. The stranger's smile widened. "Now," he whispered, "descend, my boy. The treasure awaits." As Aladdin stepped into the darkness, 1,000 questions burned in his mind. Who was this man? What was this place? Why did it feel like the beginning of something far greater than gold? The door sealed behind him with a sound like thunder. Only the echo of his footsteps and the soft glow of the silver ring remained. And far above, on the desert wind, a whisper drifted, neither kind nor cruel, but full of fate. Dreams, when awakened, demand their price. Chapter 2. The Sorcerer's Bargain. The stairway seemed endless, spiraling down into the bowels of the earth. Each step echoed like a heartbeat, deep and hollow. Aladdin held the ring tightly as he descended, its faint glow the only light in the suffocating dark. Behind him, the stone door sealed shut. The desert, the sun, and the stranger all vanished as if swallowed by silence. The air grew cooler, scented with dust and age. When Aladdin's feet finally met level ground, he found himself standing in a vast cavern. Jewels glittered from the walls like stars trapped in stone. Piles of gold and silver lay scattered across the floor, crowns, cups, and blades from forgotten empires. The sight stole his breath away. "By the heavens," he whispered, "no dream could be so rich." Then, from above, the stranger's voice echoed, sharp and commanding. "Remember, boy, do not touch anything but the lamp." "The lamp," Aladdin shouted back. "Where is it?" "Beyond the gardens of treasure," the voice replied. "You will find it upon a stone pedestal. Bring it to me, and I shall reward you beyond measure." His tone was heavy with urgency, but something in it chilled Aladdin's heart. Still, the promise of gold and glory burned too brightly to ignore. He walked deeper into the cave, past piles of treasure that glimmered like moonlit water. Soon the cavern opened into a garden, but not one of earth or sky. Trees of crystal bore fruits of emerald and sapphire, and silver birds perched upon golden branches, singing songs that shimmered like glass. Aladdin's hand trembled as he reached toward a branch, an apple made of pure ruby, glowing from within. He could almost feel its warmth. But then he remembered the warning, "Do not touch anything but the lamp." He pulled his hand back and continued, though the beauty around him felt almost alive, whispering to be taken. At last, at the center of the chamber, he saw it, a simple bronze oil lamp, dull with age, resting atop a black stone pedestal. Compared to the splendor surrounding it, the lamp was utterly plain, almost worthless. And yet, Aladdin felt an invisible weight in the air, as though the lamp were breathing, waiting. He approached, brushed off the dust, and lifted it carefully. It was heavier than it looked. "Is this what you seek, stranger?" he called upward. The voice answered, sharper now. "Yes, quickly, boy, hand it to me." Aladdin turned toward the stairway, but as he climbed, he noticed something strange. The man's eyes, visible through the crack of the stone door, glowed faintly red, and his face twisted with impatience. Aladdin hesitated. "Help me out first," he said. "Then I'll give it to you." The The stranger's tone turned venomous. "Fool, give me the lamp, or you will never see daylight again." Now Aladdin understood this was no friend, no ally of his father. This was a sorcerer, using him as a pawn. "Open the door first," Aladdin demanded. But the sorcerer only snarled, eyes burning with fury. "Then rot down there, you ungrateful wretch." He struck his hands upon the stone, and with a roar, the entrance slammed shut. Darkness devoured the light. The echo of the man's laughter faded into the distance. Aladdin was trapped. For hours, or perhaps days, he sat in the darkness, hunger gnawing, fear pressing against his chest. He tried to find a way out, but the stone walls were unyielding. His tears dried to dust. At last, in desperation, he took the old bronze lamp and rubbed it, hoping perhaps to clean it or to distract himself from despair. And the world changed. A wind rose from nowhere, swirling through the cavern. The lamp blazed with fire, and from within it erupted a being of smoke and light, a jinn towering to the ceiling, his form shifting between flame and shadow. His voice rumbled like thunder. "I am the servant of the lamp," the jinn declared. "Speak, master, what is your command?" Aladdin fell back, eyes wide with terror. You call me master." "You hold the lamp," said the jinn. "The one who holds it commands my will." For a moment, Aladdin could not speak. Then, trembling, he whispered, "Take me out of this place." The jinn bowed, and the air shimmered. In an instant, the darkness vanished, replaced by the golden light of dawn. Aladdin stood once more upon the sands outside the city walls, the lamp still warm in his hands. He turned, but the cave was gone. Only dunes remained silent and endless. He sank to his knees, overwhelmed. A jinn, bound to me, a lamp that commands the impossible. His heart raced, fear, wonder, and ambition all warring within him. Slowly, he rose and began the long walk home, clutching his secret tightly. Far away, in a hidden place beyond the desert, the sorcerer's rage boiled like fire. His plan had failed, but his hunger for the lamp burned brighter than ever. And somewhere, deep within the lamp's metal heart, the jinn stirred, ancient, waiting, listening. Every wish, he whispered to the wind, has its price. Chapter 3. The Lamp of Fortune. The sun was bleeding into the horizon when Aladdin reached the outskirts of the city. His legs trembled with exhaustion, and his throat burned from thirst. The lamp hung heavy at his side, wrapped in a torn piece of his tunic, its dull bronze glinting faintly in the dying light. He stumbled through the narrow streets until the familiar scent of jasmine and dust led him home. His mother, widowed and weary from years of struggle, gasped as she saw him standing at the door, covered in sand and shadow. "By the mercy of Allah, Aladdin, my son, where have you been?" He could not answer at first. He simply fell to his knees and wept. When he finally spoke, it was between gasps of disbelief of the cavern of treasure, the wicked stranger, the lamp that summoned a jinn of fire. His mother listened, shaking her head. "My child," she whispered softly, "grief and hunger have played tricks on your mind. No such wonders exist." Aladdin said nothing more. He was too tired to argue. That night, they shared a crust of bread, and when sleep finally came, Aladdin dreamed of the jinn's glowing eyes and the sound of endless wind. When dawn arrived, hunger returned to sharp and merciless. His mother searched their small room, but there was nothing left to eat. Then her eyes fell upon the lamp, lying forgotten beside Aladdin's bed. "Perhaps this old thing can be sold for copper," she murmured. She took a cloth and began to polish it. The moment her hand brushed the metal, a surge of light filled the room. Smoke coiled toward the ceiling, and with a roar like a storm, the Jinn appeared again, towering and terrible, his voice shaking the walls. "I am the servant of the lamp. Command me, O mistress." Aladdin's mother screamed and dropped the lamp. She fainted dead away. Aladdin, waking in panic, leaped to his feet. "It's true," he cried. "You're real." The Jinn bowed, his burning eyes gleaming like molten gold. "You hold my master's lamp. Speak your wish." Aladdin's heart pounded. He thought of the empty shelves, the hunger in his mother's eyes. "Bring us food enough for a feast." The Jinn nodded once, and with a sound like thunder, the air was filled with silver trays, steaming dishes, goblets of crystal overflowing with honey and milk, roasted lamb scented with saffron, fruits that shimmered like gems. Aladdin fell to his knees in wonder. His mother awoke, gasping at the sight. "By the Prophet who has blessed us so." Aladdin smiled through tears. "The lamp, mother. It grants what we wish." They ate as if the famine of years had ended. Laughter filled their small home for the first time since his father's death. But when the meal was over, Aladdin wrapped the lamp carefully in silk and hid it beneath a loose stone in the floor. "No one must know," he whispered. "This is our secret." Days passed, and Aladdin began to dream again, not of hunger or fear, but of riches and adventure. He bought new clothes with a few of the silver coins left from the Jinn's feast, and began to walk through the city like a young prince. And one day, as fate would have it, a procession filled the streets, drums and flutes, banners of silk fluttering in the wind. People shouted with joy, make way for the daughter of the Sultan." Aladdin froze where he stood. Upon a white horse draped in jewels rode a young woman veiled in gold. Her eyes, dark as midnight, bright as dawn, met his for the briefest moment. In that instant, Aladdin's world changed. He stood rooted to the spot long after she had passed, his heart pounding like the beating of war drums. That night, he spoke to his mother in a voice filled with fire. "I have seen her, the Sultan's daughter. I will marry her." His mother nearly dropped the bread she was holding. "Aladdin, are you mad? The Sultan's daughter. She is promised to princes." But Aladdin only smiled. "Princes are made by fortune, mother, and fortune is in our hands." He went to the floor, lifted the stone, and drew out the lamp. The Jinn appeared again, his voice like a storm over the desert. "What is your wish, O master of the lamp?" Aladdin's eyes gleamed. "Bring me gifts, jewels, silks, gold beyond measure. I must appear before the Sultan as a man of worth." The Jinn bowed. "As you command." When the smoke cleared, the room overflowed with treasure. Rubies like drops of blood, necklaces of pearls, golden plates engraved with names of forgotten kings. The next morning, Aladdin's mother carried the gifts to the palace, her hands trembling beneath their weight. The guards stopped her at the gate, but when they saw the gleam of the treasures, word spread quickly. Within the hour, she was brought before the Sultan himself, a man of wisdom and pride, whose eyes widened at the sight of such wealth. "From whom do these gifts come?" he asked. "From my son, Aladdin," she replied humbly. "He asks for the honor of your daughter's hand." The court fell silent. The vizier whispered into the Sultan's ear, scowling. But the Sultan stroked his beard and said, "These are gifts worthy of kings. Tell your son that if he can prove his nobility, I shall not refuse his request." When Aladdin heard this, his heart soared. He looked to the sky, clutching the lamp. Then my destiny begins. Far above the palace, unseen by mortal eyes, the Jinn watched with silent amusement. The boy's courage pleased him, but the winds of fate, he knew, never blew without cost. Chapter 4. The Sultans Challenge. The Sultan of the Golden City was a man of wisdom and pride, one whose every word could turn the tides of fortune for his subjects. Yet even he, seated upon his jeweled throne, could not hide his astonishment when Aladdin's mother presented the treasures. The gems gleamed like captured stars. The gold shimmered with divine light. Never in all his reign had such gifts been brought by one who was not a prince. But though the Sultan's heart was moved, his mind was wary. He stroked his beard and looked upon his vizier, a man of ambition and envy, whose own son sought the princess's hand. "These gifts are worthy of royalty," the Sultan said. "But tell me, who is your son that he dares aspire to my daughter's grace?" Aladdin's mother bowed low. "He is but a humble merchant's son, my lord, though blessed by fortune." The vizier's lips curved into a faint sneer. "A merchant's son, bearing jewels fit for kings. There is deceit here, Majesty. Perhaps these treasures are stolen from foreign caravans." The Sultan's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps, yet I am not without fairness. If this Aladdin wishes to prove his worth, let him meet my challenge." He turned to Aladdin's mother. "Tell your son this: if by tomorrow's dawn he can present before my palace 40 golden trays, each carried by a slave, robed in silk and bearing precious gems, I shall consider his request. If he fails, his claim shall be forgotten forever." The vizier smiled thinly. The challenge was impossible. Even kings would tremble before such a demand. That evening, Aladdin awaited his mother's return with hopeful eyes, but when she told him the Sultan's words, his face fell. 40 trays, 40 slaves, by dawn, his mother wept. "My son, this is folly. Forget the princess, she is far above us." But Aladdin only rose, his resolve blazing like the desert sun. "No, mother, we have the lamp, and with it, the power to change fate." He took the lamp from its hiding place and rubbed it gently. The Jinn appeared in a blaze of gold and shadow, his massive form filling the small room, eyes like twin fires. "Speak, O master of the lamp," the Jinn rumbled. "What do you desire?" Aladdin's voice was calm but firm. "Bring me 40 trays of pure gold, each filled with jewels and carried by a slave in silk. They must stand before the Sultan's palace by dawn." The Jinn bowed. "As you command." And with a sound like thunder breaking the world, the air shimmered. In the blink of an eye, the courtyard outside their humble home was filled with radiant splendor. 40 trays glowing in the moonlight. 40 noble slaves standing silent as statues, their garments woven from silver threads. Aladdin's mother covered her mouth in awe. It's a miracle." "No, mother," Aladdin said softly. "It is destiny." At dawn, the city awoke to a sight no poet could describe. Through the streets of the Golden City, the procession advanced, 40 slaves bearing golden trays, each a cascade of jewels that caught the rising sun and scattered it across the walls. The people gasped, bowing as the caravan passed, whispering Aladdin's name as though it belonged to legend. When the Sultan saw the spectacle from his balcony, even he rose to his feet in wonder. "By Allah," he murmured, "no prince of Persia or Egypt could rival such glory." The vizier's face darkened. "Majesty, wealth can be conjured, but nobility cannot. What do we know of this boy?" But the Sultan silenced him with a raised hand. Enough. Let him come before me. Aladdin entered the palace in garments of deep blue silk, his head held high. Though his heart raced, he carried himself with the grace of one born to power. When he bowed before the Sultan, the hall fell silent. "Rise, Aladdin," said the Sultan, his voice echoing beneath the domed ceiling. "You have met my challenge, and more. Tell me what magic aids you in such feats." Aladdin smiled humbly. "No magic, my lord, but faith and good fortune. I have labored for years in secret trade, and I bring before you the fruits of that toil." The Sultan studied him for a long moment. There was something in Aladdin's eyes, honesty, courage, a strange nobility that seemed to shine from within. "Very well," said the Sultan at last. "You have proven yourself, yet one test remains. For my daughter is the jewel of this kingdom, and I would not give her hand lightly." The court leaned forward. "Build for her a palace," the Sultan declared, "more splendid than any the world has ever seen. It must be ready within 3 days. If you can do this, she shall be yours." The vizier laughed softly under his breath. "Now the illusion will end," he whispered. But Aladdin only bowed once more. "As you command, O King of Kings." That night, Aladdin returned home, silent as the moon. His mother trembled when she heard the Sultan's new decree, a palace in 3 days. "My son, this is madness." Aladdin placed a comforting hand upon her shoulder. "Have faith, we are not alone." He took up the lamp and rubbed it once more. The jinn rose like a storm from the sands, his form outlined by lightning. "Master," thundered the jinn, "you call, and I obey." "Then hear me," said Aladdin. "Build for me a palace worthy of the Sultan's daughter, one of white marble and gold, with gardens of silver and fountains of diamonds. Let it rise before dawn in the plain beyond the city." The jinn bowed low. "It shall be done." In the hours that followed, the desert came alive. The winds carried whispers of magic. Stones danced, fire sang, and by the time the first light touched the horizon, a palace stood gleaming in perfection, its domes brighter than the moon, its walls alive with art and wonder. When the Sultan beheld it from his balcony that morning, he was speechless. "By the heavens," he breathed, "it is as if paradise itself has descended upon my kingdom." And so, word was sent to Aladdin. The Sultan accepted his request. His daughter, Princess Badroulbadour, would be his bride, but far beyond the city's walls, in a cave dark and forgotten. Another watched through the fires of envy, the sorcerer who had once trapped Aladdin. He smiled coldly. "The boy lives," he hissed, "and he holds the lamp still. But I shall have it back, and his fortune shall burn with it." Chapter 5. The Palace of Wonders. The dawn of Aladdin's wedding day painted the sky in gold and rose. Bells echoed across the golden city, and from every tower, silks of crimson and emerald fluttered like living fire. Word had spread through the land. The humble merchant's son had not only won the Sultan's favor, but had built a palace so magnificent that even kings sent envoys to behold it. Aladdin stood before the mirror in his chamber, dressed in robes woven with threads of moonlight, a turban crowned by a single sapphire the size of a dove's egg. His heart, though proud, beat with disbelief. Was this truly his life, or some dream spun by fate? His mother entered, her eyes shimmering with tears. "My son," she whispered, "your father would have been proud beyond measure. Remember always, wealth and power are gifts of fortune, but kindness is the mark of a true king." Aladdin bowed his head. pressing her hand to his brow. "I will remember, mother, always." When the royal procession arrived, the streets thundered with drums. The Sultan himself descended from his golden litter, smiling with rare warmth as he embraced Aladdin. "You have proven that greatness is not born, but made," the Sultan said. "Today you join my family and my kingdom." Then came Princess Badrobudur, veiled in white silk, her steps light as wind. When she lifted her veil, Aladdin's breath caught in his throat. Her beauty was not of this world. Her eyes were the stars of the night sky, her voice a melody that trembled like silver bells. The marriage was celebrated with splendor that lasted 7 nights and 7 days. Poets sang songs of Aladdin's rise, and dancers spun in the courtyards of the new palace, their bodies tracing patterns of flame beneath the lanterns. The Sultan's guests marveled at the Palace of Wonders. Its walls were made of white marble, veined with gold, its doors carved from sandalwood and ivory. Fountains of clear water leaped from jeweled basins, and the gardens glowed with flowers that only bloomed under moonlight. At the heart of it all was the Hall of Stars, a chamber whose ceiling was a map of the heavens itself, every constellation crafted from gemstones that shimmered like the real night sky. When the Sultan saw it, he murmured, "No mortal could have built this," and perhaps he was right. That night, when the guests departed and the city grew quiet, Aladdin stood upon the palace balcony beside his bride. The air was soft, carrying the scent of myrrh and rosewater. "Do you believe in destiny?" Aladdin asked. Princess Badrobudur smiled faintly. "I believe destiny finds those who dare to dream." Their hands met, and in that moment, Aladdin felt a peace deeper than any treasure. Yet, somewhere in the dark, unseen by the lovers, the lamp glimmered faintly, as though alive, as though listening. Weeks passed, and the palace became the wonder of the East. Princes came bearing gifts, scholars wrote verses in Aladdin's honor, and the Sultan himself visited often, delighted by his new son-in-law's wisdom and generosity. But beyond the deserts, in the crimson lands where shadows reigned, a storm of envy stirred. The sorcerer, who had once deceived Aladdin, had heard the tales. His spies brought word of the magical palace, of the slave-bearing treasures, and most importantly, of a lamp said to grant every desire. The sorcerer's laughter shook the stones of his cavern. So, the fool lives, and the lamp is his. But the sands remember, and vengeance comes to those who wait. He began to weave his plan, his fingers tracing symbols in the dust. "I will not face the jinn's power head-on," he muttered. "No, I will strike through greed and ignorance, through the hearts of the foolish." In the Golden City, Aladdin knew nothing of this. He had grown beloved by the people, praised for his kindness and wisdom. He treated servants as equals, gave gold to the poor, and built fountains for travelers who came thirsty from the desert. But sometimes, when the moon was high, he would sit alone in the Hall of Stars and gaze at the lamp. The jinn appeared less often now, for Aladdin had learned restraint. Yet deep down, he wondered if he had truly mastered the power, or merely learned to coexist with it. "Every wish has its price," the jinn had said once. What price had Aladdin paid? He thought of his lost youth, of the cave where darkness had nearly swallowed him, and of the sorcerer's voice echoing in the dark. For the first time, a shadow crossed his heart. One afternoon, as Aladdin prepared to meet the Sultan, a beggar appeared at the palace gates, an old man, blind and trembling, carrying a small bundle of lamps, new lamps for old. The beggar cried, his voice weak yet insistent, Exchange your old lamps for new, shining ones." The guards laughed at him, but the old man would not leave. His persistence caught the attention of a servant, one who happened to be tidying the princess's chambers. "The master keeps an old, ugly lamp hidden beneath the cushions," the servant said. "Perhaps this beggar would take it." Without thought, the princess, curious and innocent, handed the old bronze lamp to the beggar and accepted a new one in exchange. The beggar's trembling ceased. His lips curled into a smile. When night fell, he cast aside his disguise. Beneath the rags stood the sorcerer, his eyes burning with triumph. He held the lamp high and whispered ancient words of power. The desert winds rose in a scream. "Jinn of the lamp, your master calls you." From the depths of the earth, fire answered. "Who commands me?" the jinn thundered. "I, your true master," said the sorcerer. "Carry this palace and all within it to the mountains of Maghreb." The jinn hesitated, for he knew Aladdin's heart. But the law of the lamp was absolute. With a roar that split the heavens, he obeyed. In a single night, the Palace of Wonders vanished from the Golden City. The Sultan awoke to an empty field where marble once gleamed. The people cried that it was a curse from the heavens. And far away, in the cold mountains of the west, Aladdin's palace stood once more, silent, surrounded by mist and sorrow. Princess Badroulbudour awoke in terror, alone and imprisoned by the very magic that had once blessed her. The jinn's whisper lingered in the air. Every wish has its price. Chapter 6. The Vanished Palace. The morning sun rose over the Golden City, but where once the Palace of Wonders had shimmered like a jewel, now there was only emptiness. Dust blew across bare stone. The gardens, the fountains, the marble halls, all had vanished as if they had never been. Panic swept through the streets. The people shouted, "The heavens have cursed us. The jinn have stolen the prince's palace." The sultan himself stormed from his chambers, his robe undone, his eyes wild with disbelief. When he reached the vacant field, he fell to his knees. "Aladdin," he roared. "What treachery is this? Where is my daughter?" Guards rushed in every direction, but there was nothing to find. No footprint, no broken stone, not even a whisper of magic. Only silence, heavy as grief. Aladdin was not in the city when it happened. He had been on a hunt in the eastern woods, chasing gazelles with his men. When he returned and saw the empty horizon, his heart turned to ash. He ran through the dust, stumbling, calling his wife's name, "Badroulbudour, mother, answer me." But no voice replied. The Sultan's guards seized him, their spears raised. The Sultan himself appeared, his face carved with rage and sorrow. "You have stolen my daughter," he said coldly. "Your sorcery has brought ruin upon my kingdom." "No," cried Aladdin. "I swear by the sun above, I know nothing of this. Someone has taken the lamp." But at that word, lamp, the Sultan's fury deepened. "So you confess that witchcraft was your doing? Guards, take him to the dungeons." Aladdin was dragged through the streets, the people cursing his name. Stones were thrown, banners torn down. The prince, who had once been beloved, was now the city's shame. The cell was cold and dark. Chains bound his wrists, and from above came only the sound of dripping water. For 3 days, he neither ate nor slept. He stared at the wall, whispering to himself, the lamp is gone." At last, in the black of the 4th night, the air shimmered faintly, and a small, trembling figure slipped through the iron bars. It was his mother's servant girl, the one who had tended his household since boyhood. She carried a small loaf of bread and a jug of water. "Master," she whispered, the princess. She too is gone. The people say the palace rose into the air like a storm cloud. Aladdin's eyes gleamed with sudden fire. Then it was magic, not divine wrath. Someone used the lamp. The girl trembled. I remember, master. A beggar came to the gate. He cried, "New lamps for old." The princess, thinking to please you, gave him the old lamp from your study. For a long moment, Aladdin could not breathe. Then he laughed, a bitter, broken sound. The sorcerer, it must be him. He rose to his feet, strength returning to his limbs. If the lamp can move a palace, it can be found again. Bring me a cloak and a dagger. I will not rot in this cell. That night, with the help of his faithful servant, Aladdin escaped into the desert. The desert wind bit like knives, but he did not stop. For days he walked, guided only by the stars and his fury. His clothes turned to rags, his lips cracked, and hunger gnawed his belly. Yet his mind burned bright with one thought: I will find her. He came upon a caravan resting by an oasis and begged for water. The travelers, seeing his condition, took pity. They gave him food and a place by their fire. Among them was an old sage, his eyes clouded but wise. He listened as Aladdin told his tale of the lamp, the jinn, the vanished palace, and the stolen bride. When Aladdin finished, the sage nodded slowly. The power of such a lamp is ancient, he said. Few men live who can command its spirit. But if your foe has it, he will not stay hidden for long. Greed always betrays itself. Where should I go? Asked Aladdin. To the west, the sage replied. Beyond the deserts of Maghreb, there lie black mountains where the stars fall to earth. That is where the lamp's light now burns. Aladdin bowed deeply. You have given me hope, old man. Hope, said the sage, is the only lamp no thief can steal. Weeks turned into months. Aladdin crossed the sands, braved bandits, thirst, and the deadly winds of the western wastes. He sold his ring and jewels to buy food, but he never abandoned his quest. At last, one evening, he reached a valley where the ground glowed faintly beneath the moonlight. Shards of fallen stars littered the earth, just as the sage had said. And there, rising among the peaks, like a ghost from his dreams, stood the Palace of Wonders, unchanged but sorrowful, its domes silver beneath the alien sky. Aladdin fell to his knees, tears spilling down his face. I've found you. He crept closer, avoiding the guards who patrolled the gates. Their armor bore strange symbols, the mark of the sorcerer. From a distance, he saw a balcony lit by golden lamps. There stood the princess, pale and grieving, her gaze lost in the stars. Aladdin's heart ached. She is alive, but a prisoner. He hid among the cliffs until night deepened. Then, using a rope and the silence of the desert, he slipped into the palace gardens. The fountains no longer sang, the waters were dry, and the flowers wilted. The magic that had once filled this place had turned to sorrow under its new master. From within came the sorcerer's laughter, echoing through the empty halls. All the world shall bow before me. The jinn obeys my command, and even kings will crawl to my feet. Aladdin's hand tightened on his dagger. His rage burned, but he forced himself to wait. He would not strike blindly, not yet. He needed the lamp, the true heart of the palace, and only by cunning could he reclaim it. As he retreated into the shadows, he whispered a vow to the silent stars. I will free her, reclaim the lamp, and end this darkness, even if I must face the jinn himself and far above. The lamp glimmered faintly in its chamber, as if it too remembered its first master and longed to be found again. Chapter the 7th. The Sorcerer's Dominion. The night wind whispered across the marble terraces of the vanished palace, carrying with it the faint scent of roses long dead. Shadows stretched like fingers through the silent halls, where once laughter and music had danced. Now the palace was a monument to despair, ruled by greed, haunted by stolen magic. From a high tower, a figure in black robes stood gazing into the mirror of the Jinn, the sorcerer of Maghreb, his eyes gleaming like coals beneath the hood. In his hand, the lamp of power pulsed faintly, its golden surface breathing with imprisoned light. Soon, he murmured, the kingdoms of men shall kneel before me. The deserts will burn with my name. Behind him, Princess Bedrolbador stood motionless, her silken veil trembling. Her beauty had dimmed beneath sorrow, her spirit heavy with loss. The sorcerer turned toward her, his smile a serpent's coil. "Do not weep, princess," he said softly. "Your tears are pearls wasted on a vanished fool. Aladdin is dust in the wind. Here you shall reign as queen beside the mightiest sorcerer alive." She said nothing. Her eyes, filled with starlight and grief, met his, not in submission, but in quiet defiance. Meanwhile, hidden among the cliffs beyond the palace walls, Aladdin watched the flickering lights through narrow cracks in the stone. Every moment, his rage and resolve grew stronger. "He has my lamp," he whispered, "and my beloved captive." But the heart of a thief cannot rule what was born of courage. He waited until dawn began to touch the horizon with pale gold. The guards, drowsy from long hours, changed their posts. Wrapped in a tattered cloak, Aladdin crept through the dry moat and climbed the outer wall, using cracks in the stone. His hands bled, his breath came hard, but he did not falter. Once inside the gardens, he found the old fountains cracked, their once bright waters turned to dust. The statues of lions and peacocks stared with blind eyes. Everything that the lamp had once blessed with beauty now rotted under the sorcerer's dominion. He moved like a shadow through the corridors until he reached the servants' quarters. There he found Fatimare, one of the princess's attendants, the same girl who had once brought news to him in prison. When she saw him, she gasped and nearly cried out, but Aladdin placed a hand over her mouth. "Silence, Fatimare. It is I, Aladdin. I have come to save her." Tears welled in her eyes. "Praise the heavens, master. We thought you dead. The princess prays for you every night." "Tell me," Aladdin said urgently, "where is the lamp kept?" Fatima's voice dropped to a whisper. "The sorcerer keeps it beside his throne in the Hall of Fire. He never lets it out of sight. He commands the Jinn at dusk and dawn, forcing it to bring him treasures from the earth's corners." Aladdin frowned. "Then I must strike between those hours. Tonight, when the sun sleeps." As dusk fell, the palace stirred with dark energy. Candles flared with blue flame, carpets rippled with enchantment. The sorcerer took his place upon a throne of onyx, the lamp at his side, the air around him vibrating with the hum of bound Jinn. He lifted his arms. "Spirit of the lamp, rise and obey your master." With a crash of thunder, the genie emerged, vast, terrible, and crowned with fire. Chains of lightning bound his arms, and his eyes burned with reluctant servitude. "Master," the genie thundered, "what do you command?" "Build me a fortress of mirrors upon this mountain, so that every king may see his weakness reflected in its walls." The genie's eyes flickered, but he obeyed. In an instant, light exploded outward. Mountains trembled as towers of crystal began to form. Hidden in the rafters, Aladdin shielded his face from the blinding brilliance. The sorcerer laughed, drunk on power, oblivious to the danger creeping above him. When the ritual ended, exhaustion dulled the sorcerer's senses. He reclined upon his throne, the lamp close to his hand. Slowly, Aladdin descended the marble columns like a ghost. Every heartbeat was thunder in his ears. He was within arm's reach when a voice whispered behind him, low and mocking, "You think shadows hide you, boy?" The sorcerer rose, his staff blazing with crimson fire. Aladdin froze, dagger half drawn. "I smelled your hope the moment you entered my domain," the sorcerer sneered. "Did you believe you could steal from me what I stole from you?" Lightning arced from his staff, striking the pillar beside Aladdin. The marble exploded, shards flying. Aladdin leaped aside, rolling across the floor as the hall erupted in fire. "Spirit of the lamp," roared the sorcerer, "destroy this intruder." The genie appeared again, vast and thunderous. But when his burning eyes met Aladdin's, recognition flickered there. For a brief moment, the chains of command hesitated. "Do you not know me, old friend?" Aladdin shouted. "You served me once in light, not darkness. Help me free you from his lies." The genie's voice shook the hall. "I am bound by the hand that holds the lamp." "Then let me take it," cried Aladdin, diving forward. The sorcerer struck again, but Aladdin's dagger met his staff, sparks flying. The weapon shattered, and the lamp rolled across the floor, spinning wildly. Both men lunged for it. At the last instant, Aladdin flung a handful of sand, the desert's gift, into the sorcerer's eyes. The man screamed, blinded. Aladdin seized the lamp and shouted, "By the power of light and truth, obey your rightful master." The genie's chains burst like glass. The flames of the hall dimmed. The sorcerer stumbled back, his cries echoing as the freed genie raised his colossal hand. "You who twisted my power," the genie thundered, "shall be cast into the void between worlds." A vortex of light opened beneath the sorcerer's feet. His scream faded into the stars, swallowed by eternity. The palace fell silent. Smoke drifted through the shattered hall. Aladdin stood trembling, the lamp in his grasp. "Genie," he said softly, "restore this place to the way it was before his darkness touched it." The genie bowed deeply, his form blazing with warmth instead of fire. "As you command, my true master." And so, with a single breath of wind, the palace of despair bloomed once more into splendor. Fountains sang, marble gleamed, and dawn poured golden light upon its towers. At the highest balcony, Badr ran to Aladdin, tears of joy shining in her eyes. "You came for me," she whispered. "Always," he said, drawing her close. "Not even the stars could hide you from my heart." The genie watched silently, his vast face softened by something like pride. But far beyond the desert, in lands unseen, a new shadow stirred, for the magic of the lamp, once unleashed, never slept forever. Chapter 8: The Return of the Genie. The dawn after the battle was unlike any other. For the first time in months, the sun rose gently over the Palace of Wonders, washing its domes and spires in gold. The gardens breathed again, fountains danced in crystal arcs, and the air hummed softly with magic renewed. The darkness of the sorcerer was gone, burned away by light and love. But within the lamp, something still stirred. The genie, now free of chains, floated above the courtyard in a swirl of blue smoke and golden sparks. His immense form was calm, almost solemn, as he gazed upon Aladdin and Princess Badr, standing hand in hand. "You have done what no mortal before you has dared," the genie said, his voice echoing like thunder softened by mercy. "You freed me from enslavement and reclaimed the lamp through courage alone." Aladdin bowed his head humbly. "You were never my servant, Great Spirit. You were my ally, my friend." The genie smiled faintly, his eyes glowing with ancient fire. "And yet, Aladdin, friendship cannot unmake destiny. The lamp remains bound to the threads of power. Every time it shines, balance trembles." Princess Bedrulbudur looked up, concern in her gaze. "What do you mean? Is there danger still?" The genie's face darkened slightly. "The lamp is not merely a vessel of light, it is a prison. Within it sleeps the will of the first flame, the ancient power that once forged the heavens. Every wish pulls a spark from that eternal fire. To many, and it will awaken." A chill passed through the morning air. Aladdin clenched his fist around the lamp's handle, suddenly aware of the weight it carried. "Then I will never use it again," he declared. "Let it rest forever." The genie's voice grew soft, almost sorrowful. If only it were so simple. The lamp cannot be silenced while it remains in this world. Others will seek it, men more ruthless than the sorcerer, and when they do, it will call to them later that day. The Sultan received Aladdin in the throne hall, now rebuilt with dazzling marble and draped in banners of victory. The old king's eyes glistened with pride. "My son," he said warmly, "the kingdom owes you more than life itself. You faced the storm and returned with peace. From this day forth, all lands under my rule shall know your name." Aladdin bowed, his heart heavy despite the honor. "Majesty, the victory belongs not to me alone. The power that restored us is one I dare not wield again." The Sultan nodded thoughtfully, stroking his beard. "Then we must guard it well. Let the lamp be sealed within the palace vault, guarded day and night." The words were wise, but Aladdin sensed a quiet dread in the genie's silence. The spirit's golden form lingered near the pillars, unseen by all but him. That night, as stars shimmered over the desert, Aladdin sat on the balcony with Bedrulbudur. The lamp lay between them, faintly glowing under the moonlight. "Do you think the genie will ever be free?" she asked softly. "He is free now," Aladdin said, "free to choose his path." But even as he spoke, the lamp pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The air thickened, and the genie appeared, his form smaller now, more human. He wore a robe of starlight and a crown of smoke. "I come not to serve, but to warn," he said gravely. "A shadow stirs in the southern sands, the order of the seven flames. They have long sought to reclaim the lamp's fire and awaken the spirit within." Aladdin frowned. "Another sorcerer?" "Not one," said the genie. "Many priests of the old world who once worshipped the flame as a god. The fall of your enemy has drawn their eyes to you. Then I will face them," Aladdin replied firmly. "I will not run from fate." The genie studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Courage you have, Aladdin of the Golden City, but courage alone cannot fight destiny. To face them, you must first understand the lamp's true origin." And so, the genie told him a tale that had not been spoken since the dawn of the world. "Long before men named the stars," said the genie, "there was only light and void. From the light was born the first flame, a spirit of creation, so bright that even the gods shielded their eyes. When the flame grew restless, it split itself into 7 fragments, casting them across existence. One fragment became the lamp you hold." "7 fragments," Aladdin murmured, "and the others, hidden lost in time. Each carries a power beyond measure. The Order seeks them all to reignite the first flame and burn the world anew. Princess Bedroubador's eyes widened. Then the lamp must never fall into their hands. Indeed, said the genie, but know this, so long as the lamp endures, fate will turn its gaze upon you, Aladdin. You cannot escape the path chosen when you touched it. Silence fell. The desert wind sighed through the arches. Far below, the city of Baghdad shimmered like a mirage under the moon. At last, Aladdin stood, his resolve hard as iron. Then I will not flee from destiny. If the lamp's burden is mine to bear, I will guard Itavan against the gods themselves. The genie smiled, though sorrow shadowed his expression. Then prepare, son of the sands, for the first flame stirs once more, and its servants come in dreams before they come in flesh. That night, sleep would not come easily. Aladdin dreamed of fire raining from the heavens, of 7 burning stars falling upon the desert, of a voice older than time whispering his name. The flame remembers you, bearer of light. When the last wish is spoken, I shall rise. He woke in terror, his hand clenched around the lamp, which burned faintly warm as though it had heard the same voice. Beside him, Bedroubador stirred. What is it, my love? Nothing, he lied softly. Just the wind. But deep within, he knew that the story of Aladdin and the lamp was far from over. For every wish cast light upon the world, and every light, in time, casts a shadow. Chapter 9. The Order of the 7 Flames. The desert night had grown colder, sharper like glass cutting through the wind. Aladdin stood at the edge of the palace balcony, the lamp hidden beneath his robe, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon him. Since the genie's warning, his dreams had been haunted by fire and whispers. Each dawn came darker than the last. Far beyond the horizon, in the endless sands of the south, a new star had appeared, dread and pulsing like a wound. The astrologers called it the flame star, but the genie knew better. It is no star, he said. It is a beacon. The Order of the 7 Flames has awakened. They set out before sunrise. Aladdin, wearing the cloak of the desert prince, rode at the head of a small caravan. Beside him floated the genie, cloaked in a mirage of smoke, invisible to mortal eyes. Princess Bedroubador watched from the palace walls, her heart torn with fear, as the caravan vanished into the golden sea of sand. Days passed. The dunes shifted endlessly, as if the earth itself were alive. The silence was heavy, broken only by the cry of a falcon or the hiss of wind against the dunes. The further south they went, the stranger the air became thick with the scent of ash and forgotten things. One evening, when the sun bled red over the horizon, Aladdin and his men reached a place known only in legend, the Valley of Glass. Every grain of sand glittered like crystal, reflecting strange colors in the dying light. The genie appeared beside him, his form shimmering faintly. We are close, he said. This valley was once a city, a place where men worshipped the flame before the first kingdom rose. The Order built their temples here, beneath the sands. Then that's where we'll find them, Aladdin replied, gripping his sword. The genie's eyes flared. Do not mistake courage for wisdom, Aladdin. These are not men, they are echoes of the first fire, bound by faith older than gods. They will not die as mortals do. But Aladdin's resolve did not waver. Then let them burn. The world has lived too long in their shadow. At midnight, they found it. A pit opened beneath the dunes, a colossal crater, ringed with obsidian pillars that glowed from within. The air shimmered with heat, though no flame burned. From the pit's depths rose a low hum, like chanting carried by wind through a hollow mountain. Aladdin descended first. The genie followed, his light casting ghostly shapes on the walls. At the bottom lay a massive temple, carved from black glass, its gates engraved with 7 symbols of fire. Before them stood hooded figures, 7 priests cloaked in crimson and gold, faces hidden behind masks shaped like tongues of flame. Each held a staff tipped with burning jewels. When they spoke, their voices were one. "Welcome, bearer of the lamp," they intoned. "We have waited since the first dawn." Aladdin raised his sword. "If you seek the lamp, you will find only your end." The leader stepped forward, removing his mask. His skin was pale as sand, his eyes burning like embers. "End. There is no end, only return. The lamp you hold is the heart of the first flame. We are its keepers. You are its chosen vessel." "I am no servant to fire," Aladdin spat, "nor to gods long forgotten." The priest smiled faintly. "You misunderstand, mortal. You do not serve the flame. The flame serves through you. Each wish you spoke, each miracle you commanded it, was the flame's will. You are already bound." For the first time, Aladdin faltered. The lamp at his side trembled, glowing faintly red. The genie appeared in full form, lightning crackling around him. "Lies," he thundered. "The flame was sealed before the world was born. You cannot awaken it." The priests raised their staffs as one. The temple shook, the air igniting into shimmering heat. "We can and we will." The stars align once more. The flame star burns, and the 7th fragment stirs beneath the sands. When it rises, the world shall be remade. A beam of light erupted from the floor, encircling Aladdin and the genie. The lamp was torn from his grasp, floating into the air as the priests chanted in a forgotten tongue, Azereth, Ermal, Kadun. The lamp cracked open, spilling torrents of golden fire. The genie cried out, his essence drawn toward the light. "Aladdin, the seal break it before it consumes me." Without hesitation, Aladdin plunged his sword into the ground. The blade, forged in the Sultan's forge, met the edge of the ritual circle. Sparks flew then, shattered into 1,000 shards of light. The circle broke. A blast of wind and fire roared through the chamber, throwing the priests to the ground. The lamp fell dark and cold once more. Smoke filled the valley, thick and choking. When the storm cleared, 6 of the priests had vanished, burned into dust. Only the leader remained, kneeling amidst the ashes, his mask cracked. "You cannot stop what has begun," he hissed. "The flame awakens. The desert will burn, and the stars will fall." Before Aladdin could strike, the man's body turned to fire and collapsed into the sand. Silence. The genie reformed, weakened but alive. His once golden light flickered dimly. "You saved me," he said softly, "but the cost was great." The ritual awakened something beyond this world, the flame. "No," said the genie, looking toward the sky, where the red star blazed brighter than ever. "Something older. The first flame does not awaken alone, it calls its siblings. The 7 are stirring." Aladdin looked at the lamp in his hands, now etched with new markings, 7 tiny sigils glowing faintly red. "Then this is not over." The genie nodded grimly. "No, Aladdin. This is the beginning of the War of Flames." That night, as they returned to camp, the desert wind whispered through the dunes like distant voices. The red star pulsed again, casting long shadows across the sand. And for the first time, Aladdin felt the lamp pulse back like a heartbeat answering the call of something vast and ancient. He knew then that the true trial had only begun. Chapter 10. The War of Flames. The red star had grown larger in the heavens, no longer distant, but burning like a wound in the heart of the night. For weeks, Aladdin and the genie had wandered across the dunes, chasing omens and whispers. The lamp, once a symbol of hope, now glowed faintly with the mark of 7 sigils each, pulsing with a rhythm of its own, like hearts beating in unison. Every pulse echoed across the world. Volcanoes stirred in the southern isles. Lightning danced across skies that had never known rain. In the north, cities burned beneath veils of crimson cloud. The age of fire had begun again. They reached the Citadel of Stars, an ancient fortress carved from black stone, older than any sultanate. There, the last of the desert sages awaited them, a man known only as Harun, the Flame Keeper. His eyes were blind, but he saw deeper than any mortal. "You bear the marks," Harun said as Aladdin approached. 7 sigils of the first flame. The world trembles because of them. "Then tell me how to end this," Aladdin demanded. "Tell me how to silence the flame." The old man smiled sadly. "You cannot silence what was born before sound itself. The flames are not demons nor gods. They are truth's 7 forces that shaped creation. When they awaken, kingdoms fall. The genie's form flickered beside them. Then we must find and seal them again before the order returns." Harun turned his blind gaze toward the genie. "Seal them. You were born of the flame yourself, spirit. You cannot cage that which runs through your very essence." The genie said nothing. For the first time, Aladdin saw something in him fear. That night, Aladdin sat by the fire, staring at the lamp. He remembered the first wish, the palace, the gold, the laughter of Princess Badroulbadour. It all seemed distant now, swallowed by destiny. He whispered to the genie, "If these flames are truths, what am I in all this?" The genie answered softly. His voice carried on smoke. "You are choice, Aladdin. The flames burn because men forget to choose. They worship, they destroy, they obey. You alone defied destiny when you took the lamp, not for power, but to protect love. That is why the lamp chose you." Aladdin turned his gaze to the stars, where the red light had split into 7 smaller sparks, each moving across the heavens like wandering spirits. "Then I will choose again," he said. "If the flames mean to rule the world, I will stand against them." By dawn, armies moved. From the east came the sultans of silk, riding camels armored in silver. From the west, the nomads of ash, their spears tipped with glass from fallen stars. The desert tribes united under a single banner, the sigil of the lamp. Aladdin stood at their head, cloaked in gold and blue, his sword forged anew in the fire of the genie's breath. The first battle came at Mount Nar, where rivers of molten fire burst from the ground. The sky turned red as 7 shadows descended, taking form from the wind, the earth, and the fire itself. They were not men nor beasts. They were flame avatars, manifestations of the 7 primordial powers. Each towered above the army like living mountains of burning stone. "The world must return to fire," they roared, "ash to ash, flame to flame." The genie rose to full height, his body of light stretching across the battlefield. "Then burn me first." The ground cracked beneath him as he struck with bolts of azure fire, each colliding with the avatar's red inferno. The desert exploded in waves of heat and light. Men screamed, steel melted. The air itself trembled. But Aladdin did not waver. He drew the lamp, held it high, and spoke the words the flame keeper had taught him. By the breath of creation, by the will that bound the stars, return to silence. The lamp shone brighter than the sun. From it erupted 7 beams of light, each seeking its counterpart in the sky. The red star flared once, then began to fade, but victory came at a price. The genie fell, his body flickering weakly. "The seal is incomplete," he gasped. 3 flames remain unbound. Aladdin knelt beside him, his hands trembling. "Then I'll finish it. Tell me where." "To the north," said the genie, "beyond the frozen seas, in the city beneath the aurora. That is where the first flame sleeps in, where you must go alone, alone. If I follow, the flames will awaken again. My power is bound to theirs. Only you can walk where gods once burned." The desert wind howled, scattering ash and embers. The army knelt, their eyes fixed upon Aladdin. He stood slowly, his cloak torn, his face streaked with soot, but his gaze steady, unbroken. "Then I will go," he said, "not as a prince, nor as a master of the lamp, but as the one who remembers why the fire was kindled, to bring light, not destruction." The genie smiled faintly, his form fading into smoke. "Then may your choice be stronger than destiny." As the sun rose, Aladdin mounted his horse and looked north. The world lay scarred, behind him cities burned, rivers turned to glass, but hope still flickered in the distance. Above, the last 3 flame stars burned brighter than ever, aligned in a perfect triangle across the sky. Their lights stretched across the desert, painting the sand in gold and crimson. The war of flames was far from over. But for the first time, Aladdin understood the truth of the lamp. It was not a weapon, it was a promise that light, even born from fire, could still save. Chapter the 11th, The City Beneath the Aurora. The north wind howled across the dunes, sharp as glass. The desert's gold had given way to white sand, replaced by endless frost. Aladdin rode alone through this frozen expanse, guided only by the lamp's faint glow. The genie's voice no longer echoed in his mind. Silence was his only companion. The war of flames had left him scarred, body and soul. Yet, in that silence, he felt something new, an ancient rhythm pulsing beneath the ice, like a sleeping heartbeat. The first flame awaited him somewhere beyond the veil of snow. For 7 days and 7 nights, Aladdin rode through the blizzards. His horse collapsed on the 8th. He continued on foot, each breath freezing into shards of mist. The world here had no sound, no scent, no life, only the whisper of eternity. Then, through the fog, he saw it. A vast city, carved entirely from crystal, its towers rising into curtains of green and violet light. The city beneath the Aurora realm, lost to time, where mortals were forbidden to tread. Its gates stood open, as if awaiting him. As he crossed the threshold, the wind ceased. The air grew heavy, shimmering with the hum of old power. The streets were empty, but the statues that lined them seemed alive, each a figure caught in motion. A woman weeping, a warrior kneeling, a child reaching for the sky. They were not stone, they were people, frozen in eternal stillness. At the heart of the city stood the obsidian spire, reaching up to the aurora itself. Aladdin climbed its winding stairs, his lamp flickering dimly in the blue light. Each step pulsed with warmth, as if the tower's veins ran with fire. When he reached the summit, he found a great mirror of ice suspended between two pillars of flame. Within the mirror burned a heart of light, the first flame. It pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the world. But he was not alone. "You came at last," a voice murmured behind him. From the shadows stepped a woman, draped in silver veils. Her eyes glowed like twin moons. She was both mortal and divine, beauty woven with terror. "Who are you?" Aladdin demanded. "I am Nir Alazal, keeper of the flame," she said softly. "Long ago, I was the first to touch its firand, so it made me its guardian. You seek to bind what cannot be bound. The flames have brought war and ruin. They must sleep again, or the world will burn." She smiled sadly, like a goddess pitying a child. "You think you fight the fire, but it is you who keeps it alive. Every choice, every act of love or wrath feeds it. To silence it, you must silence yourself." Aladdin felt the lamp grow warm in his hand. Inside, the genie's voice whispered faintly, almost inaudible. "She speaks truth, yet not all of it. Remember who you are." Nur Alazal raised her hand. The heart of flame pulsed faster, and the frozen statues below began to crack, light spilling from their veins. "See, Aladdin, the world burns, not from malice, but from desire. It is the fire that creates life. Would you extinguish creation itself?" "No," Aladdin said slowly. "I will not extinguish it. I will guide it." The lamp blazed suddenly, brighter than ever before. The genie's form appeared, torn and fading, yet radiant as a newborn star. "My master," the genie said, kneeling, "there is one wish left, one final command." Aladdin's heart tightened. He knew what that meant. He looked at the mirror, at the flame's heart flickering in the ice, then at the genie, his oldest companion. "If I use the wish, you will vanish," Aladdin whispered. "And if you do not," the genie replied, "the world will." Nur Alazal's voice cut through the light. "Think carefully, child of dust. Choose eternity, or choose the end of everything you love." Aladdin stepped toward the mirror. He saw himself reflected, there no longer the street thief of Baghdad, nor the prince of palaces, but something greater and humbler, a man who had walked through fire and snow for truth. He held the lamp to his chest and spoke, "I wish for the flame to remember mercy." The world erupted. Light poured from the mirror, washing across the frozen city, the desert, the seas. Statues awoke, their eyes glowing with tears. Nur Alazal screamed not in pain, but in awe. Her form dissolved into golden dust, joining the aurora above. The genie's chains shattered. His body burst into streams of blue fire, swirling around Aladdin like a storm. "You have done what no mortal ever dared," he said, his voice echoing across heaven and earth. "You wished not for power, but for compassion. You have mended the fire's heart. Then you are free," Aladdin said softly. The genie smiled. "And so are you." He touched Aladdin's forehead, and in that instant, both man and spirit vanished into the light. When the radiance faded, the city stood silent once more, but it was no longer frozen. The aurora shimmered with warmth, dancing like silk across the heavens. In the desert far to the south, the first flowers bloomed amid the ashes, and on a distant wind, faint and eternal, came a whisper, "The lamp has found its peace." Chapter the 12th. The lamp's final light, the storm of light, had faded, and in its silence, the world began again. The city beneath the aurora was no longer frozen. Rivers flowed through streets of crystal, carrying warmth into the heart of the north. The sky shimmered with endless ribbons of green and gold, the breath of a world reborn. But of Aladdin there was no trace. In Baghdad, the tale spread like morning fire. The desert had bloomed overnight, and a faint golden lamp had fallen from the heavens, its glow softer than dawn. The merchants who found it brought it to the Sultan's court, where Princess Badr-el-Badur still prayed for the man who vanished into the storm of stars. She took the lamp into her hands, trembling. It no longer gleamed with the power of the Genie, a quiet warmth, like the last ember of a dying fire. Yet, when she whispered Aladdin's name, a breeze stirred the curtains, and a faint voice, familiar and loving, answered, "I am here." That night, she dreamed. In her vision, she stood upon the dunes where she and Aladdin had once walked. The desert stretched endless beneath, a sky woven with constellations. From afar, a figure approached, dressed not in gold, but in simple robes of white, his eyes holding both sorrow and serenity. "Aladdin," she breathed. He smiled softly. "No, my love, not Aladdin as you knew him. The fire that burned in me is gone. What remains is light." She reached out, tears glistening. "Then why not return? The world still needs you. The world no longer needs power, it needs memory," he said. "The lamp's flame has passed beyond my keeping. It will shine in every heart that remembers hope." Behind him, the horizon shimmered not fire, but dawn. 1,000 lamps, each held by unseen hands, stretched toward the rising sun. "Tell them," Aladdin whispered, "that every wish begins not with desire, but with courage to love." The wind carried his words away, and as dawn broke across the dunes, he faded with it, leaving only the sound of laughter, soft, eternal. When the princess awoke, the lamp was gone. In its place lay a single petal of gold, shaped like a teardrop. That day, she ordered no mourning. Instead, she opened the palace gates to every traveler, beggar, and orphan. The city once filled with greed became the city of light. And each evening, as the sun set, thousands of small lamps were lit across its rooftops, an ocean of flickering hope. And somewhere among them, she always thought she saw one flame burning a little brighter, as if watching over her. Centuries passed, empires rose and fell. The desert reclaimed its secrets. The genie's name became legend. The princess's love became a song. And Aladdin's story was whispered beneath the stars by those who still believed in miracles. In the market squares of new kingdoms, storytellers spoke of the boy who found a lamp not to rule the world, but to save it. Children leaned close as the tale was told of a thief who became a prince who became light, and a lamp that shone long after its fire had died. And sometimes, when the wind swept through the streets, carrying the scent of jasmine and the sound of distant bells, the old storytellers would swear they heard laughter, gentle, familiar, echoing across the centuries. Far beyond the mortal world, beyond the veil of sky and sand, a garden of stars bloomed. In its heart stood Aladdin, cloaked in radiance. Beside him, the genie no longer bound walked freely, his chains now made of pure light. "So this is freedom," the genie said, gazing at the galaxies unfolding around them. "It is," Aladdin replied, "but not ours alone. It belongs to all who dream." They looked down upon the world below Baghdad, glittering like a jewel, its lamps flickering against the endless dark. "Do you miss it?" the genie asked. "Every heartbeat of it," Aladdin said with a smile. "But the story was never mine to keep. It belongs to those who still believe that a single spark can change the night." He reached out, and from his palm rose a single golden flame. It floated upward, joining the stars, until all heaven shimmered with light. "Go," Aladdin whispered to the flame. "Find the next dreamer." And the universe answered. Thus ends the tale of Aladdin and the magic lamp, the boy who wished not for power, but for compassion, who freed a spirit, saved a world, and became legend. And though his name may fade with time, his light will forever live in every wish, every act of courage, and every heart that dares to love. For in the end, the lamp was never just an object of magic. It was a mirror of the soul. And when all else is gone, only light remains. Epilogue. As Scheherazade closed her eyes after the 1000th night, her final whisper carried across the palace. The story of Aladdin is not of a lamp but of the fire that lives within us all.